Well, hello folks, welcome to this video which is all about the difference between training and education. Training and education. Education and training. Now, you may think, like many people do, that training and education are exactly the same thing. And in many cases in society, we do compact them into being exactly the same thing. And we say adult training or adult education, or we go to a training session, or, we go off and we have a situation where we, have professional development, or we go off to a conference, all right? We need to appreciate, though, that there's certain layers to actually learning something. And there's certainly layers to actually being trained in something as well. But here's my belief, that in order for training to actually take place, there's a couple of things that actually need to be going on. One of them is that performance needs to be part of the context, right? So you actually need to watch someone do something and then give them some feedback. They perform, then you give them some feedback, then they do it again and you give some more feedback, right? And ultimately, training is all about the act of doing something and then feedback being provided. And the simple analogy that was once given to me that I heard on the radio, which is something I will never, ever, ever, ever forget, is this metaphor of, do you want your children in high school doing sex education or sex training? Now, immediately as I've said that, you're probably going, oh, that's weird, right? Sex training. But immediately when I say sex training, you're like, oh, that makes sense now, right? So sex education would obviously be having conversations about it, reading books about it, but sex training would actually be doing the thing, getting feedback, right? So hopefully that puts it into a visualization where you can go, oh, okay. So training in the workplace is when I'm actually doing something and I'm receiving feedback on my performance, right? Now, where we often go wrong in the training and facilitation world is we send our learners or our audience off to a session, and, in the HR department, right? We send them off to a session and the trainer or facilitator shows, say, 50 PowerPoints or 100 PowerPoints, and then they walk out of the room and there is a belief that they have been trained. Well, I would postulate and push back and actually say, no, they haven't been trained on anything at all. No training has occurred. None. All that's happened has been they've been exposed to some ideas on some PowerPoints, and knowing adult, a brain absorption of information, highly likely they've remembered probably 1 to 2 things max, right? So I believe that someone's only learnt something once they've actually used it and then gotten feedback on what they've used, because that is evidence that they've actually embodied the knowledge, right? So I want to invite and encourage you to step into the distinction between training and education. Training is when you show someone how to do something, they do the thing, you provide feedback. Education is when you provide information, but what they do with that information is totally up to them. All right. So hopefully you got some value from the video. As always, the distinction is a game changer, because you will start to realize when are you training people and when are you educating them. And when you know that, you can be even more efficient with your time and even more realistic with your expectations. On that note, folks, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm sure you will never, ever, ever, ever forget that metaphor: sex training, sex education. Thanks so much for watching, team. I'll see you on the next one.